Hello and welcome, my name's Specimen. Welcome to a quick video just discussing the two decks that I've made in the past couple of days. Both very similar. What you can see on here is the 22 cards that stay the same throughout both decks. So the purpose of this video is just to give you kind of a oral description of really what's better at what, which deck you should be using if you're looking to be playing competitively. And yeah, basically, so I've come to the conclusion that the bronze list is the exact same with both decks. I've put a Drowner in here, but this Drowner is kind of a flex spot. You could put 3 Ekimaras in. You could also put an Archgriffin in, or even something like a Lacerate or a Mardrome could also be worth a shout. I went for a Drowner because I ended up putting Marigolds in both decks in the end, and it's really, really effective with the Frightener, and also to have that extra Drowner to line things up as well can be really, really nice. 3 Ekimaras does also work fantastically though, because you're always going to have that little bit of carryover. But anyway, that's not really the purpose of the video. So here I will show you the cards that we use for a Ciri Dash version. So of course we have Ciri, and then the other cards that we put in this version. I'd put Dorogorai, who I think is decent. He's an Ekimara or Drowner essentially. They're pretty much the main cards you're going to be using. So he's a decently strong silver. And I'd also put Morvard, so we'd get our lock in there as well. So this list basically revolves around using your Toad Prince with Ciri Dash. It's really, really nice in terms of flex spots for your silvers. Like, you're much more flexible in what you can use. So you could use something like Monster's Nest as well. You could run Iris, Grave Hag if you wanted to, Commander's Horn. So this one, I would say, is probably the weaker of the two versions, actually. I went through a lot of chopping and changing. I played around 60 matches with this variation on the Pro Ladder, and around 40 with the Dashless version. So I've come to the conclusion that this deck, even though it is incredibly fun and extremely competitive, it is slightly upgraded by the other version, which I'll now show you. So again, the 3 cards, we get rid of our 2 silvers and Ciri Dash. So the gold card that replaces it, and this is the main reason it's better in my opinion, we get Kayron in. So Kayron being able to consume a unit with 6 or less power is a 16-point play and a little buff to Neckers as well. But I mean, we've got no lock in this deck is the main downside really. There's no room for the lock, but what we do have room for is a different type of package replacing Ciri. So with the lack of Ciri Dash, we actually replace her in a silver slot with Imperial Manticore. So obviously this card is not very popular, but what it allows us to do is actually use our Toad Prince to consume our Manticore. And then an added bonus to that as well is we can actually bring in Katakan then. So let's say we consume our Manticore with Toad Prince, then that's 17 points, and then we can actually use the Katakan straight after and consume Manticore from the graveyard with the Katakan. So this is the list that I believe is slightly stronger, as it turns out. Before I had the lock instead of Marigolds, and I was leaning more towards Ciri Dash being stronger, but actually with the ability of Kayron, and since it you can use your Renew twice with it as well, this deck just seems slightly more consistent in a wider variety of matchups. For instance, against Hensel Kuadweni siege support decks, your Kayron is instantly just far more useful than a Ciri Dash. Also, things like Imperial Enforcers, you can eat them up. And also Axeman decks as well, you can get some really, really nice value with the Kayron. So that's another reason the Drowner is really good as well. For Axeman, being able to move them out of the way is a nice touch. So you could experiment around, like I say, with this last Drowner spot, but hopefully you can kind of see the positives and the negatives. I would say the main thing with this list is you're kind of can be waiting around to get your Toad Prince and Manticore combination off, and at times it can be slightly less consistent than the Ciri Dash version, whereas Ciri Dash you're always going to be happy to play her down. But really, it was pretty rare we got Ciri more than 16 points, so replacing her with a 12-point Manticore I feel like is the best option. He's also a beast as well, so you've got that little extra bit of synergy with the Harpies if you do need to play him down. But hopefully that wraps it up. If you've got any questions about the two decks, please feel free to ask me. Really, really happy to help you. And as I say, do not be afraid. This Ciri Dash version is incredible. I think it is the best monsters list out there. This is just a slightly more refined list, and we kind of replace, we still get the utility of having Ciri, but with a silver slot. So hopefully you've enjoyed that video. Stick around for more content. I'm going to be doing my Northern Realms armor guide pretty soon once I've started perfecting that. So we finished 100 games with monsters, and it went fantastically. Next up is Northern Realms, so please do stick around if you're interested in some more deck guides. Take it easy on the next one.